Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there and welcome to New Life Live. Really glad you're with us here today. And when I say us, it is Marc Cameron. Marc, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Steve? How you doing, Alice?
Hi.
And Marc, the ages of your kids are?
17 and 18.
17 and 18. And Dr. Alice Benton, hi.
Hello.
Co-author, Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. Great book. I love that book. Been doing interviews over it. The people that read it love it. How old are your kids, Alice?
I have an 11-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and I needed that book.
Yeah.
It helped my family improve immensely. I didn't even know we needed it, but we did.
Yeah. And I have a 32, 25, 24, 17, 14. The whole gamut. So let me ask you guys this. What do you do? How have you already discussed boundaries? Have you done any talk about dating world and just things that are so difficult to approach a teen with? What do you think when I ask that question? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, well, of course, in our culture, teens want to date. And it's challenging, and it's definitely a topic as parents that we need to address. To be honest with you, I read with my kids recently how to get a date worth keeping, and we read like a chapter or so a couple of times a week and just kept the dialogue open with that, and that's such a fantastic book. But yeah, when it comes to dating and teens, I see my role as helping them, guiding them with limiting means and opportunity. And I know a lot of some of the pushback that I'll hear from other parents is that, well, my kids are going to do it behind my back, or, I want them to come to me if they have a problem. But, I see that as parenting from a place of fear, really. And I think we need to ask ourselves, what's the greater purpose, to allow all freedoms in front of us, or to have restrictions and teach values?
Yeah. If you want to be in total control of your children, fear really works well, but it destroys the child to be raised by a fear-based system and parents involved with it, because they end up afraid of a lot of things.
Yes.
And then when they don't have you to be afraid of, they sometimes just go wild in their freedom. Alice, what about you and messages to your kids?
My first big opportunity, I panicked and did everything wrong. When my daughter was little, she told me about her first crush. And in my panic, I pointed out all the negative things I knew about him. And I realized as I was saying it, no, this is not what I'm supposed to do. So, because of my frequent mistakes, I advise that we lead with our shortcomings, admitting to our kids how we're falling short now and how we did in our own dating. We pursue the hearts of the people they're interested in, looking for the good in the people that they are interested in. And lastly, we have open discussions about our standards, allowing our children to openly disagree with our standards, with the hope of increasing safety.
Well, you mentioned your own dating experience. A lot of parents don't want to approach these things because they didn't follow healthy biblical guidelines in their own dating. Look, you don't have to tell your kids the details, but you can say, I made some mistakes here. And if I could just help you not make those mistakes, your life would be just so much easier, better, and fulfilling. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come right back. We'd love you to join us. 1-800-229-3000. When we come back, we're going to go to Lisa. 1-800-229-3000. Sometimes one conversation can lead to a complete transformation over time. It could start right here. 1-800-229-3000. Call us.
My girlfriends and I have been searching for so long to try to find an event to attend.
Lumina is a new women's conference designed to inspire your faith so you can lead and live confidently from God's Word.
It was nice to come here and just realign myself with who God says He is in my life.
The Lumina Conference is a 2-day experience. 1 full day of worship and teaching in Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and a half-day guided tour through Museum of the Bible.
You are literally immersed in the Word of God. You can walk through the Old Testament. You can walk through the New Testament.
Lumina is for women of all generations, cultures, and denominations. It's a great place to gather with women from your church and community.
If you want some fellowship and you want to be strengthened, this is the place you want to be.
This year's Lumina Conference is October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C.
It was absolutely life-changing.
For more information, go to luminawomen.org.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, and just want to remind folks that we have a partnership with the Museum of the Bible and the wonderful Inspire organization, and that partnership has created an event for women called Lumina. And I want to tell you, when women came to the event last year, one said, perfect, could not be better. It's 450 people in an auditorium, not 18,000. It's intimate. You're immersed in the Bible. I mean, the museum, you go through that with a very special focus there. And the whole point of Lumina is inspiration, helping you have a richer life with the Bible, and then you carrying that message to other people. It's just a fantastic event. You can find it. It's in November. You can go to luminawomen.org, or you can go to newlife.com, and it will lead you where you need to go. All right, Lisa has called us on 1-800-229-3000. Let's hear from her, Cambridge, Massachusetts, and she listens on the internet. Hi, Lisa. How you doing today?
Hi, good morning or good afternoon. I'm calling in regard of my 15-year-old. I need some help for her, and she has social anxiety, depression.
Social anxiety, did you say?
Yeah, and in general anxiety, but meeting people, and she has problems going to school, like attendance, because of the social anxiety, and so she's failing in school, and also she has substance use problem. Like she thinks she just because she's a teenager, she's just doing this as a part of being a teenager. I don't see it that way.
Okay,
but
wait a
also,
second. What? Repeat what you just said. I didn't understand what you said. She thinks what about drug use?
That she's just a teenager and she's trying things like teenagers do, that kind of thing.
What's your response to that?
Well, my question is, because I'm trying to look for a program for her that can help her, and I was looking for advice, like programs that she could go, maybe a boarding school or maybe a program to address these issues. Because right now I'm low income, so I would need like a sliding fee scale program or a scholarship. Because she needs to leave this environment completely.
Right.
And
okay.
Yeah.
Lisa, when we're finished, I'm going to put you through to the folks that handle our phone calls and know what resources are available in what part of the country so that they can help you specifically. But in general, I want to encourage you to be the person that is researching for resources. In other words, you look for, what does the county provide? What does the city provide? Because Cambridge, I mean, there are a lot of resources there. But you look at what the county, what does the state provide? That's where you begin. Then you look at what churches have programs. Some of them have places where kids can go and stay. And so it's important that you look at all of that and that you become the person that knows the resource because of the research that you have done specifically in your area. That's the greatest gift my wife, well, maybe not the greatest, one of the greatest gifts she's given is her ability to research and find the resource that they need for whatever they're going through. But there are people, places, organizations that want to help somebody low income, but they have a high commitment for helping. Mark, why don't you start us off with what you are thinking and what might be something important or something she's missing here? What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi Lisa. I know that this is a very difficult situation. Social anxiety seems like that's kind of a pandemic going on right now for our kids. Is your daughter's father around, and if so, are you guys married, and what have you guys done so far?
It's not in the picture. He has his own mental illness problems that he's dealing with, and he was open, but he lives 2.5 hours away from us, so it's hard to get support from him. And I'm the only child, of my parents, and I don't have like brothers and sisters and people. I just have some friends, very limited that that could help. They did refer her to the court because she wasn't attending a school, so they had like a child require, they call it CRA, child requiring assistance. And they were
and Lisa, tell us, who else is on the phone with us?
My friend Debbie, she knows, she referred me to you guys because she's been listening and talking to you for years.
Thank you, Debbie. And you two are friends, is that right?
Yeah.
Thank you for being that support, Debbie.
We met at work in 1995. But sometimes she's not too articulate with the language barrier, so she wanted to make sure that you understood, everything that she's saying.
Thank you for that.
Well, other than one little thing I need clarification on, she's really communicated this problem better than most people because she got right to the point. I want to make a comment about what's that?
We worked in social services, and she knows, about some of the stuff, but she's stuck right now.
Yeah.
Her mom just died, and then her aunt just died, and she has absolutely no other family here.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned death because that's what I was going to bring up. I think, you say it's hard to get her father involved. I think you, maybe the both of you, could call them together like this, and I think you would start with that our daughter is dying.
He came already, and he got in trouble with the police because he was being too rough with her. He came already to try to help. But DCF, or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Okay, so now that I know that, you would only be encouraging him to get himself together enough where he can be an appropriate father. And if anything happens, I would get DCS involved again because sometimes people never get help until they're really forced to get help. But he's, if you can get him involved in a healthy way, doesn't sound like he's too healthy, that's a good thing. If not, then I think you as friend to Debbie might be so key in helping her find the right resources, especially since you guys have been involved in social services. Mark, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so-
and then we'll go to you, Alex.
Yeah, so what I would do here, Lisa, and I'm so glad that, I think Debbie, right, you said that your name was, I'm so glad that she's got a friend like you, even though, Dad's not around, because it's important that we have other support going on.
Right.
What I would do, I think, and I don't know if you've done this already, is I would try and get into family counseling, right? Because all behavior is purposeful, right? Even if kids don't understand why they're doing it, emotions are driving behavior. So something is missing, something's going on in your daughter's heart. And so what I would do is I would get into, a counselor's office, do some family counseling, see how that helps shape things, and if your daughter will open up. And if she doesn't open up as well in that environment, maybe you can have her have a few individual sessions too with that same therapist, I would recommend. And so that way that you're looped in the process, to see how that might open things up and get underneath, what's driving her behavior. I think it's one thing that I would look into, because again, not all the time is the large public school the best option for kids. Sometimes there might be a smaller school. And if you can't afford, maybe a private school, maybe there's a charter school in your area that has smaller class sizes and a different environment.
Very good.
And Lisa, if you're willing to ask, many clinicians, counselors are willing to give a sliding scale fee for services. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And cooperating with this legal process that has begun, as frightening as that is to do, whether it's the Department of Children and Family Services, a truancy officer, the administration at the school, cooperating with them and letting them know, my daughter is truant and I can't fix the problem on my own. I need help. Because we want to start at the lowest level of intervention possible, and we want to reserve something like a boarding school or a residential treatment facility as the last resort.
Right.
Because there's a risk of that abandonment that she's already been through with her father being reperpetrated unintentionally. And so we want to be really cautious about only using that as the last resort, because that level of separation would be really difficult on her heart. You may need it, but try these lower levels of care and intervention first and work up to that if you need to.
Now, here's a big caution for you, Lisa. When you have a distant father who gets involved rarely, and then he's forceful and shoving and, just really, really much too rough, the temptation for you is to compensate for that and be way, way, way too lenient. You have to do what's appropriate. There have to be consequences from you. And you have to know some things to say when she says everybody is doing this. If my daughter said everybody is doing this, I would say, well, that's not true. And either they're doing it and doing well doing it, or they're not doing it, you're not doing well, and you're doing it. So we're going to eliminate the it. And if you don't agree to these boundaries, then the things that you're counting on are not going to happen. Car, driver's license, things like that. But I really think you need to get into some Al-Anon meetings where you can hear other folks talk about how they dealt with a person with a substance problem in their family, because a lot of things apply to these teens, except for the teen is dependent on you in every way, and you need to use that to your advantage of eliminating these behaviors that are going to kill her, or these fears that often come are heightened by drug use. So I hope that something we've said is important. I want you to hold on. We'll help you as much as we can. And then I'll send you our little book here, Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World, because we didn't even talk about her involvement with social media, which can become just as strong an addiction as using any kind of medication or drug. I'm really glad that you called, and I'll get this to you. 1-800-229-3000 is our phone number here. And let's go to Mary, Houston, Texas. And she listens on the internet at one place, and glad that she does. Mary, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing okay. A little
okay.
Spun up.
But
Spun up. What a phrase that is. I like that.
So here's the issue. Let's get straight to the point. My son, who's 32 and nice guy, he's a nice guy. He was raised Christian. He is a Christian. But got in his car yesterday, and he has a dashboard ornament on his car that he calls a hula girl, but it is not a hula girl. It is not the quintessential hula girl holding the ukulele with a grass skirt on. It's more like anime frontal nudity.
Okay.
And I was just, I've seen it a couple of times, and I told him, if you're really looking to get a date, that's not going to get you a date. And he proceeds to basically tell me I'm being judgmental, that, and I've told him that's objectifying women, and he tries to say, no, it's not objectifying women. If you're triggered by it, that's your problem.
Hold on. I'm going to go to a break. We'll help you with this, and I'm so glad you come.
It had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, August 4th to the 6th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here talking with Mary about a 32-year-old son with a nude little bauble doll on the dashboard. Alice, there are two things about you that want me to call on you first. Number one, you're a woman. Number two, you have a PhD in how to be a human. So he's 32, not married, doesn't sound like he knows how to get a date. Her mom wouldn't be so worried. What are you thinking?
Well, I'll add in too, Mary, my own personal experience with accessing pornographic material and having my family back generations intertwined with pornographic material. And so that fear and anguish when we see the evidence of it on some level is so frightening for us as mothers and as women. Would you tell us about the family history here, and is his father in the picture? Has use of pornography been an issue going back a little ways?
Thank you for asking that question. It goes all the way back to his father's young adult years, where his mother actually purchased Playboy to convert his gay brother. And even his mother made comments to me when we'd be visiting over there, and I would want to, be more modest in my attire, getting in and out of the shower or whatever. And she actually said to me one time, "Oh, you're just too modest." So yeah, it does go back. And no, his father's not really in the picture because of his
issues. We're divorced because of his father's hidden secret life issues over this kind of stuff, which is why I was so shocked to see my son with it.
Yeah. Does your son date or not?
He owns his own business, and he's very busy with his business. I'm not even sure he's interested in that right now. I'm honestly, I'm living with him right now because of some health issues, and this is why it was so shocking to me, because he knows the history. And I don't even know if it could have come with the car. He's a mechanic, so he does a lot of, he fixes up old cars and sells them and has his own shop. He's very successful, very, very good person. He's the kind of person who gives his shirt off his back to help anybody.
Well, you know what? He ought to take the thing off the dashboard of his car to help you.
Well, and
to help. So, you know what I'm saying? If he's really that person, take the shirt off his back for anybody, he should take the doll off the dash for you. And he should do that for every other woman who is insulted by somebody only seeing that woman as a body and not, or body parts and not a real person.
Yeah, and he probably would. He is the type of person that he would do that for a girl. But since I'm his mom, the relationship's a little bit more casual and confrontational.
Well, but I would ask him to do it if I were you. I'm going to ask you to do something for me and for you and all women who are insulted by just someone seeing them. How about taking that thing off your dash?
Yeah, and I did, and that's where he was, you're just trying to control me, and that's out of his dad's mouth right there.
And Mary, is he a Christian? Is your son a practicing Christian?
I wouldn't say practicing. Does he go to church? No, not like we used to. Been trying to get him to do that, but there is a family history, and I think he has been harmed by it. But
okay, let's hear from Mark, and then I've got a suggestion for you after Mark.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Steve. I think, Mary, you should, tell him that this bothers me. Tell him what happened with you. You were surprised when you came into the car and you saw that, and it's making you feel uncomfortable. And just say, would you be willing to, if he won't take it down, say at least, could you cover it up when I'm in the car with you, right? If you don't have, the means to be able to have your own car for a ride and you're relying on him, I would ask him to do that. But he's 32 years old at this point. He's not a teenager. And so, your influence with him is a little bit different here. And so I think when he says like you're being judgmental, he's trying to flip the situation around and make it about you. And to be honest with you, I would just agree with him. I'd just say, you're right. I am being judgmental. Because where's he going to go with that? It's like, I am being judgmental. Because there's a difference between being judgmental and being judging and condemning. There's two different things. You actually made a judgment about it and just say, this bothers me, and can we talk about this a little bit more, because it's a little bit disturbing.
So I'm going to send you Every Man's Battle to send to him, but here's an approach for you that actually compliments him before you make the request. Honey, I was talking to a group of folks, and I was describing you, and I was telling them, this guy, my son, would give the shirt off his back to a person. That's how I see you, that you're so caring, you would sacrifice for another person. And then they said, well, if he would take the shirt off his back, why doesn't he take this insulting and this image off of his dashboard? That, well, I'm uncomfortable with it. It's an insult to all women. And I didn't have an answer for them. But I'm going to ask you, why not? Why not? If you would give the shirt off your back, why not take this thing off your dashboard? For me, for any potential person you might date, for women at large, why not do that? See what happens from that. All right, I'll send you Every Man's Battle. I hope you'll call us back, tell us what happens with all of this. Very, very sad, and the message he's gotten, messages from his dad, quite unhealthy. And I'm glad he's got you, but I think you're going to have to step in there a little firmer with him and get him to really think about what he's doing.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery. And one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back, and Alice, you wanted to add something here to what we were talking about with an older son who's not too sensitive to women.
Mary, I think it helps to identify the corporate responsibility because there has been a generational setup for this. And so perhaps inviting your son in, I know I'm hurting over this. Could we pray for the past generations that set us up for this, that really set you up for this, son? Can we pray? And then can we be cycle breakers that then the next generation wouldn't suffer from this same pornography, infidelity issue that the past generations have had? How sad that we've set this up.
Yes, and many times when people think of generational sin, they think of some supernatural whatever passing down, but you can pass down generational sin. Just in this case, I think it's passed down by the messages that he gets from dad and all the other things that are set in motion because of those attitudes and those messages. He needs every man's battle. And let me read you a testimony from that workshop. It says, I arrived carrying a huge weight. I did not know what to expect and wondered where and if my story would fit in. As I sat in the first session and began hearing the other guys' stories, I started to feel hope for the first time. As the weekend progressed, I began to unpack, pound by pound, my shame and guilt. For the first time in 37 years, I was surrounded by guys who both accept and understand me. I also gained insight into my addiction. My hope was growing. As I prepare to leave here, I have a vision of what my life can be and hope that my intimacy with my wife and my God can be restored. I also have found a band of brothers that I can lean on. Praise the Lord. Now here's a guy, he is deep into 37 years of a behavior. He comes to a workshop and everything changes for him. Total change in perspective. Got to believe that so many men come to Every Man's Battle thinking, well, pornography is just what men do. And I'm doing it, but here I am to satisfy my wife. And then they discover, oh my goodness, I was so wrong. What a great thing. Well, if your husband's struggling We can help you help him and getting him there. And men, you don't have to wait for a woman to tell you, go get some help, or almost demand it or force it upon you. You could decide right now, pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and let us tell you how everything could be different. And especially the way you see, the way you treat, what you believe about another woman. It really could be life-changing.
Steve, some of us have bought the lie that pornography use will enhance our marriage, our sexual relationship with our spouse, or that it will protect our marriage. At least I'm not going outside the marriage. I'm only using pornography. So there is understandable justification, and the culture supports this. So if you've bought into that, whether as a male or a female, please consider every man's battle, because we can help set that straight. We can help break that deception.
And don't be stupid, because if you're looking at pornography, I am believing that's not a family member. So you have gone outside the family. Mm-hmm. And it's an adulterous affair with someone you don't know. When Jesus said, if you even look upon a woman with lust, it's adultery. Well, what if you're looking at pornography and having sex with yourself over pornography? What is that? It's another degree of adultery. It's even more than what Jesus was talking about. You're not being faithful because you're not involved with a woman. You're unfaithful and you don't see it. But it's unfaithful. You're not sticking to your vows. And you can change that. You call us and we'll help you. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. All right, I think, how about we go to Candace, South Bend, Indiana. And she listens on Sirius XM, channel 131. Comes on 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Candace, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for taking my call.
Certainly. How could we help?
Well, I'm a Christian woman. I have a very strong heart right now for this, the children's sex trafficking that's going on in our world. Mm-hmm. And it's just been very overwhelming to me how to process all that. And it's starting to affect my love life with my husband. He doesn't know why I'm being hesitant, but it just seems like whenever he approaches me to have lovemaking with me, my husband, I start having these visuals of these children and how they're being done that way. And it just, my body like freezes up, and it's hard for me to respond to my husband the way that I should. And I'm not sure how to get past that. That is my question. I'm not sure how to deal with this.
Quick question. What is the link from your past either to sex trafficking, the abuse of young children, or to an abusive man that might lead you to believe that most men are unhealthy in this area? Is there anything you can think of that would lay that foundation?
Well, probably. I mean, I've grown up, I'm 60 years old, so I've grown up with things as a child that we swept under the rug that was done to me.
So what was that? Someone in the family was using you and abusing you?
Yes.
And was that Dad?
No, it was an uncle, but I don't think this has anything to do with, I don't know. I mean, I don't struggle with that per se, but I don't know if that has, because I have experienced that, and so I know how confusing and how ugly it is on the child's part, maybe. I don't know. I just...
Candace, oh, sister, you have had to learn how to brush that abuse under the rug as well, because the adults around you did it. Whether they knew it was happening or not, you were not seen. And whatever level of intervention may have happened, not enough was done to help you heal from this. And so it does make sense to me that the news, maybe a movie you've seen recently, has brought some of your old emotions and symptoms up onto the surface, and it's coming out in relationship with your husband. Candace, even the way I hear you talk about it, I think you were taught to minimize what happened to you, so that the connection right now, it doesn't even make all that much sense. I don't think that affected me that much. Oh, girl, whatever you went through, it was so wrong what happened to you, and I don't think the adults responded, maybe not at all, but certainly not sufficiently. Is that right?
Yeah, but I just have a real heart for these babies this is being done to, and it's just very overwhelming because we live in such an ugly world, and I want to help them and somehow save them, and I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, and that heart is so valuable, but somehow this is linked over and connected to your husband and the intimacy there. You know, another reaction would be, oh, I'm so grateful my husband is so full of love and care of women. I want to draw closer to him. That's a reaction, but that isn't your reaction, and that's why I think it's worth exploring. Why would this...
Because I don't trust men in general, I guess, really.
Okay, so there you are.
Because I know what they can do.
Right. So when you say men, see, you're making a conclusion about all men based on a small percentage of men. And it would be great if you could free the men from that judgment of all men. It'd be wonderful for you and for the men in your life.
Well,
Mark, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think what's happening in you, Candace, makes total sense. I wonder if, you having this heart for these kids and wanting to rescue them is really about, you re-rescuing yourself as a kid in childhood. And the brain works by association, right? And so not all the time will it be the conscious narrative that we have, like, oh, I'm really thinking about this happening right now. It's the unconscious part that's happening in your brain. And your brain has connected sex acts to trauma here. And you said you freeze up. You're going into a freeze response. And what needs to happen parts of your brain that is having this physiological response on your body, even though you're not having this narrative memory that's going along with it. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so.
When we make conclusions, it kind of protects us from whatever we've concluded. Or we make vows, I'm never fully going to trust this group or that. It's really taking our lives into our own hands rather than trusting God and seeing the big picture. And a hurt that leads to all men are statement, that hurt can be treated and healed.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction. He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 3rd through the 5th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back and we're talking with Candace. And Alice, you had a few comments here before we move on.
Candace, it doesn't surprise me that you feel so strongly a desire to serve children, to serve people that have been just devastated by the sex trafficking industry, because God often calls us into ministry out of the pain we ourselves have experienced. And so God's probably nudging you to do two things. And one is to take care of that baby, that little girl inside of you that wasn't protected and cared for sufficiently. And as you build strength and as you come to process and understand the connection that we're helping you to make, that Mark and Steve are pointing out to you, then you will have the strength and clarity to serve other people. And so maybe it's becoming a group leader at your church for people that have also experienced sex abuse as children. God will show you what next step to take. Start with your own healing process and determine if your husband is safe enough, if he's a decent enough man for you to reveal what you've revealed to us. And if not, we can help you with a counselor so that you can build up your own safety and hopefully eventually build a bridge to be able to share some of this with your husband.
Very good. I'll send you, how about I send you Forgiving What You'll Never Forget by Dr. Dave Stoop. And I'll send you Healing is a Choice also. I think those, even though they tell me never give away more than one resource, but I think this could really be helpful to you, and I'm really glad that you called. Well, we've got time for one more call, but we've got another program we're going to do right after this, so hang on. We will get to that call that you have for us. And I'm going to go right to Adrian from North Platte, Nebraska. And I'm going to tell you, Adrian, you listen on the app, I've been to North Platte, I think 3 times during the telethon times there. And what a great community you live in.
Yeah. They asked me about the biggest city near me, and I said that, so...
Okay.
But here's my question for you. Well, it's not really a question, more than a statement, I guess. I don't know. But
okay.
Just listening to the call you had before the last one with the her son having the inappropriate figure on his dashboard. Maybe it's just a deep rooted hatred for women, and because maybe she deep down has homosexual tendencies, which I don't think there's anything wrong with. I don't have any problem with homosexuality. You can't help who you love, but maybe that's why he's able to, degrade women so easily.
Well,
that happens a lot in I think today's age.
Now, let me just comment on what you just said. That you can't help who you love. Well, if you're loving the wrong people, you can try to figure out why. For instance, if a person is attracted to children, we were just talking about sex trafficking.
Right.
He might convince himself, this is who I love, and you just can't help who you love.
And
well, I would say...
and I understand that.
But I'm saying you can help yourself so that who you love is who you're intended to love. And if I read the Bible correctly, which I think I do, it essentially says that no man or woman is loving the right person unless it's somebody of the opposite sex and they're having sex in a marriage relationship. Now, a lot of parts of the Bible are confusing. That's not. And a lot of people use other items that people say to discredit what that says, but they're inaccurate. And I'll tell you, there's a lot to be made for, yes, you can help yourself when you find out or you discover I'm attracted to something that's not good for me, not good for the other person, or, of course, some people are attracted to animals. So, Mark, Alice, any thoughts you have on this issue here?
I think what Adrian is pointing to, that there are usually deeper reasons for our surface level behavior, is accurate. And the enemy always wants to warp our God-given desires. So whether he wants to warp our desire for food, for nutrition, for drink, or our desire for sex, he will take it and hurt it, bruise it, injure it, and warp it in any way that he can. And it often happens through both the abuse that we've been through, the hurt that we have experienced, but also our warped desires that we have. And so looking for that underlying reason, why do I do what I do? Adrian, it's such a necessary question to ask so that we can reorder our behavior and align it with God's will. That produces the most fruitful form of love if we're willing to do that.
Very good.
And I want to make a distinction between love and attraction, right? And so I think what Adrian is saying, I think here when he says you can't choose who you love, I think maybe what you're saying here, Adrian, is you not necessarily choose who you're attracted to, because love is more than a feeling, right? It's an action, it's an attitude. And true love honors, respects, and it values. And sometimes because love is an action and love is an attitude, we choose not to engage in certain things, or we may even separate and detach from a person because, oftentimes the feeling of love is not enough to make that relationship successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm really glad that you called. And there's a great book. Bill Dallas wrote it. No, he did not write this. But the title of the book is Desires in Conflict. And that's just one of many things. And any of the Patrick Sprinkle works, very, very good to read if you're confused about this. Really important to get this piece right. And we live in a world where you're encouraged not to get it right. Just do whatever you think feels right. And this old argument, this is how God made me. Surely he didn't make me this way and expect me to be different. That is such a naive, superficial look at God and creation. When a spina bifida baby is born, I mean, it's just horrific. It's horrible. One of many horrible birth defects. I don't think God made that baby that way. I think that's a baby born with a horrible deformity because we live in a deformed world, a fallen world outside the garden. If that baby had been born in the Garden of Eden, there wouldn't be spina bifida there. But you can't look at every defect of genetics or whatever and say, this is what God wanted for this child. I don't think so. But in a fallen world, these things happen. And you can't just get off by saying, this is the way I was made by God. I got to tell you, there are a lot of ways I'm made. I don't think that's of God. I think it's of Satan for me. And the more I go with the feelings I have, the worse my life gets. Just wanted to be sure we're all clear about that. And you won't be clear about it if you only spend about 5 minutes thinking about it. But if you're one of these people that has been saying so often, well, that's the way God made you or made somebody else, really, come on, let's develop our theology a little deeper than that statement, because it isn't true. Well, I hope that if you're thinking about it, you'll join us for Every Man's Battle Online September the 9th. By the way, Lumina is October 27th and 28th at Museum of the Bible. Intimacy and Marriage, October 20 in Dallas. 1-800-229-3000 to join us on the next program.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.